What's up? See, y'all made it. So y'all ready? Welcome to Tales from the Block.
All of us are capable of biting off more than we can chew, tempting fate, risking it for the biscuit in the hopes that whatever we're doing pays off in our favour. We're only human, however, in this stream, it wasn't worth risking it, and the consequences, they were deadly. This first stream unfolded in Chicago, Illinois, on the 2nd of April 2016. That day, it was like any other for the residents of Chicago, the neighbourhoods and streets filled with the usual hustle and bustle of everyday folks, as they usually do in these kind of stories. However, travelling across Chicago that day was a 31-year-old man by the name of Brian Fields. Brian was a resident of the east side of Chicago and was on his way to his childhood neighbourhood. Apparently, Brian was a member of an opposing gang and was visiting this old neighbourhood to prove a point, to prove that he was the real G. Brian had actually been convicted of murder in 2009. He'd done his time, but he was well known on these streets. Along with him was a couple of friends for backup, all armed just in case something was to occur. When Brian arrived at his old neighbourhood, he then went live on Facebook, showing his friends, as well as rival gang members, where he was and what he was doing.
On Chief, what they say they heard I was up here, so they had to open the store back up for the kids, though. You know what I'm saying? I can't be out here without the store being open.
Literally, the only reason he went there that day was to prove a point, simply to tell everyone who was watching and everyone who opposed him that he was there, he was brave and strong, so strong in fact that he could chill in a rivals group neighbourhood without any opposition. On stream, you can see Brian walking down the street with his friend walking behind. Brian makes a joke that there's nowhere to duck and cover while standing on the corner of 56th Street and Hoyne. Ironically, just seconds after this, all of a sudden, gunfire opens up at the group of people, all captured on live stream.
Store back up for the kids, though. You know what I'm saying? I can't be out here without the store being open. I need somewhere to duck and hide for cover. Type it up. I sleep so they pop the store back open for the kids.
Multiple gunshots rang out, and the phone still streaming to Facebook dropped to the floor, showing a brutal firefight. On camera, someone stepped over Brian, and multiple news sources reported this to be the shooter. However, to me, and looking at other sources online, this looks to be his friends returning fire. In all the chaos, it was reported that Brian suffered multiple gunshot wounds, one notably right in the face.
Come on, let's take you to the hospital, Lord. No, Lord, no. Lord! Lord! No. Fuck! Fuck. Lord, good Lord.
No! Stay! No! Stop breathing!
Man.
Be calm! Oh my God! I don't believe this!
Police and paramedics flooded the scene, but by then, the shooter was long gone. A manhunt was launched, and Brian was rushed to hospital in critical condition. Amazingly, despite all the odds, he survived. While his shooter was never caught, Brian eventually made a full recovery, leaving the hospital a few weeks later. But you guys are watching a fatal livestream video. 7 months later, on October the 28th, Brian was again sitting in his car in a gas station in Chicago with his friend, when out of the blue, a man approached the vehicle and gunned them both down in cold blood. Tragically, both were killed on the spot. It seems that Brian was unable to escape his horrible fate. Another manhunt was deployed for this shooter, who was eventually identified as 19-year-old Lorenzo Parrish. Following a jury trial in 2023, Lorenzo Parrish was convicted of 2 first-degree murder charges and sentenced to life in prison, taking one gang shooter off the streets for good. Chicago is home to 2.7 million people, so it's a huge city. In 2025, those smaller cities like St. Louis or Baltimore or Detroit actually have it worse. Chicago still holds the highest murder rate among cities with over 1 million people. While of course in Chicago there are safe parts, or else that man wouldn't sing about it, like with any big cities, there are parts that you just shouldn't go alone at night. Brian's case is a tragic reminder that gang crime and gangs in general are just nonsense. Amazingly, Brian got a second chance. Sadly, however, in Chicago's gang wars, second chances don't last forever. Next up, we've got a live stream that's just so sad and so shocking, I suggest all patrons to look away. This stream begins on what seemed like an ordinary morning in Kazan, Russia, on the 23rd of March, 2017. That day, a 22-year-old by the name of Sitora Baratova climbed into a small Daewoo Matiz, ready for a day at work. She started the engine and eventually merged onto the Rayfur-Korbash Highway a few miles away from her home. This is when she made the decision that millions of young people make every single day. She decided to reach for her phone and start a stream. Sitora opened Russia's version of Facebook and went live to her friends and family. The red-haired young woman had only been driving for 6 months, but like most new drivers, she'd already grown quite comfortable behind the wheel, perhaps too comfortable. The stream begins and it shows Sitora driving the car. She was in good spirits and was excited to show her morning commute to her friends. With her phone propped up on the dashboard, all on stream, she interacts with viewers while speeding on the highway. The radio was playing in the background and she began singing along to the music, bright and carefree. She then says, "What are you guys up to? Where are you guys going?" She seemed happy, relaxed, and completely unaware that something was about to go horribly, horribly wrong. That day, the highway was busy, filled with commuters, trucks, and buses, all traveling in opposite directions. On stream, Sitora could be seen singing, occasionally looking at the camera, and quickly reading comments and responding to her viewers. Then, for just 2 seconds, she looks at her screen, and that's all it takes. The second she looked down, her car veered into the dirt shoulder. Thinking she was about to crash into a field, she yanked on the wheel and overcorrected, bringing her straight in the path of a passenger bus. A violent, sickening crunch exploded through the audio, the unmistakable sound of metal crushing metal. The phone tumbled and the camera spinned wildly, and then, poof. Just like that, the stream ended. The bus just had no time to react. It collided with Sitora's Daewoo, crushing it into pieces. The tiny car just didn't stand a chance against the much, much larger vehicle. By the time ambulances arrived at the scene, Sitora was already dead. Her passenger side door was impacted, crushing her in the driver's seat. Videos captured by passerbys showed the seconds after the crash, and the scene is just horrifying. Sitora is still sat in her seat with her head over the window. The live stream had captured everything, from Sitora's cheerful greeting to the moment of impact. Her friends that were watching the stream that morning just couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. They hoped and prayed that she was okay, but as you know, sometimes life isn't that kind. The stream of her crashing went viral almost immediately. Within hours, it had spread across the globe. Soon, hundreds of thousands of people watched her final moments, and now you have as well. Sitora's story became a cautionary tale. Her name became synonymous with the deadly consequences of looking at your phone while behind the wheel, even if it's literally just 2 seconds. Sitora was 22 years old and had her entire life ahead of her. She had decades of experience, relationships, moments of joy to have, but all of that was stolen in a fraction of a second, all because she wanted to do a stream. Was it worth it? Was those few minutes of connection, those comments, and those views worth trading her entire future for? Well, I'm almost 100% sure it wasn't. So, the next time you're tempted to check a notification while driving, remember Sitora Baratova. Remember the redhead girl that was singing along to the radio, and remember how it took her just 2 seconds to lose her life. This shocking livestream began in El Capitan in Yosemite National Park in California on the 1st of October 2025. El Capitan is a granite monolith about 3,000 feet from base to summit, more than twice the height of the Empire State Building. Climbing this is no joke and not to be underestimated. El Capitan is considered one of the most challenging and revered rock climbs in the world, where even experienced climbers typically spend multiple days on the sheer vertical face, sleeping in tents suspended thousands of feet up into the air. Traversing to the summit can take 3 to 5 days, and then you have to get back down again. Throughout this, just one mistake, just one moment of carelessness, and it's likely all over. But that day, the stream started, and it showed a 23-year-old man climbing El Capitan by the name of Balin Scott Miller. Balin was an American climber known for solo ascents in Patagonia, Canada, and Alaska. Among other achievements, he was the first person to solo climb the Slovak direct route in Denali in Alaska, and Balin had his own TikTok where he'd often livestream his climbs, attracting huge audiences that watched his nail-biting content in awe. At just 23 years old, Balin had been climbing since he was 3, so he was an extremely good climber and he was extremely passionate about it. He was known in the climbing community not just for his skill, but for his distinctive style. He'd often climb with glitter painted across his cheeks, which he calls his war paint, before heading into battle with the mountain. On the 1st of October 2025, Balin was streaming his climb on TikTok, now on day 6 of being en route. On stream, recorded by a telescope below, Balin could be seen at the top of a big wall. While this is of course very difficult, Balin's experience made it look like a doddle. According to viewers online, they state that he made it to the top, and this is when he realized that his haul bag was caught just feet below him in the ropes. It was caught just a short distance away from the last haul. You can see the bag isn't stuck very far below him, and so Balin rappelled down to grab it. He lowered himself down and extended his rope out, but his rope was unable to reach to pull the bag up. At this stage of the climb, the group was on day 6 of their journey. He was just minutes away from the summit and completing his climb. But this would have meant he was tired, freezing cold, hungry, and near exhaustion. So his decision-making may not have been the best. Not really thinking, and failing to check several things that he usually would, he rappelled down to reach the bag, and all on livestream, in front of approximately 300 viewers, completely out of the blue, he becomes free from his rappel. Instantly, he's plunged into his worst nightmare situation. He'd failed to tie a knot to close the system, and unfortunately, he slipped right off the end of the rope. All on live stream, the rope slips through his hands and he violently ricochets down the rock face. Instinctively, he reached out to the haul line hanging off his bag as he fell past it, but he was going too fast and it slipped through his fingers. And that was that. He tumbled down the rock face, falling several hundred feet to his death below, in front of all of his fans watching in shock. Emergency services were alerted, and a rescue helicopter was launched to the area to where he'd fallen. Of course, by the time they reached him, he'd died from his injuries. His few hundred eager viewers that had been watching his climb for days, eager to watch him reach the summit, were heartbroken to say the least. When climbers are days into an ascent, thousands of feet up into the air and secured only by ropes and carabiners, their fingers go numb and they can barely breathe through the bitter, slicing wind, let alone think straight. A new climber would take their time regardless, knowing each movement could very well be their last. But with experience comes complacency. Veteran climbers can even make mistakes, and sometimes, with climbing, you just don't get a second chance. Several professional climbers say they were watching the climb as he fell, one going out to say that it wasn't just a single failure. It wasn't like he just rappelled off the end of his rope or failed to tie a knot. In the end, he died like most climbers die. He'd grown way too comfortable with what he was doing and where he was. He rushed over when he should have taken his time. He thought it was over. He let his guard down. But it wasn't. In climbing, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. And tragically for Borlin, like many other people who make the same mistakes, he never got a second chance. Next up, we've got a stream that shocked me to my core. It's a perfect example of to go and live your life to the fullest. Smile, smell those flowers, go on that holiday, order that takeaway, and enjoy yourself. Because this could be any one of us. With that in mind, this disturbing stream unfolded in Nigeria on Thursday, April the 24th, 2025. That day, a popular TikToker by the name of Disturbing40 went live on TikTok, streaming to all of his fans, friends, and family. Now, Disturbing's real name was Joshua, and his content focused on interacting with viewers, cooking meals on stream, dancing, listening to music, and sharing the love of Nigeria across the world. Joshua lived in Ikorodu, Lagos State, with his wife, Owamunne, who appeared alongside him on most streams. Other than the usual streams of him dancing and having fun, Joshua was a significant voice in the movement of seeking justice for the late Nigerian singer Mohbad. Mohbad died suddenly in September of 2023 at just 27 years old. Before his death, Mohbad had publicly accused his former record label boss Naira Marley and an associate named Sam Larry of assault and death threats, which sparked widespread speculation of foul play, leading to protests across Nigeria as well as internationally. Joshua would routinely go live on TikTok and talk about the case, keeping people updated and pushing for answers about what happened to Mohbad. His streams drew a lot of attention, and he wasn't shy about calling out people who he thought should be held accountable. That day of April the 24th, he went live and it was his usual stream. Joshua was sat in front of his house while his wife, who was pregnant at the time, cooked that night's dinner inside. Unfortunately, there isn't much of the stream available, so it's unknown what exactly he got up to that day on stream, but what is noteworthy, however, is that he seemed to have a strange glaze over his eyes and face. Something wasn't right. On stream, he goes silent for a second, he stares off into the distance, almost like he felt something horrible was about to occur, and then it does. On stream, broadcast live to fans and friends all across the world, Joshua's face suddenly contorted in a horrifying way. His face pulled to one side and he let out a blood-curdling noise. His head pulled to the back and to the left, all while making a awful, just terrible noise. On camera, it looked like he was suffering a serious seizure. This seizure continues for 10 plus seconds, and it's awful. He falls into the camera, still shaking and contorting, before he fell onto the ground and hit his head on a rock. His wife soon found him unresponsive outside, and at this point, there was blood everywhere. His wife called neighbors to help, and they believed that he had fainted, and so they poured cold water all over him. But of course, this had no effect. Blood was pouring out of his head, and Joshua remained unresponsive, still having a seizure. He was rushed to hospital and placed on oxygen. Over the course of the day, Joshua continued to seizure again and again and again, and failed to regain consciousness. Unfortunately, he sadly passed away the following day, leaving behind his pregnant wife. I know what you're all thinking. What caused this? Well, his wife reported that this wasn't the first time that he'd suffered from a seizure, and that he was taking medication for them. His last incident was in February of that year. She said, and I quote, "I have never left him to be by himself because of these seizures. I would have grabbed him when the seizure happened." Joshua's mother, however, disputed his cause of death, claiming that her son had never suffered a seizure in his entire life and was hale and hearty before the incident. She alleged that his death was a spiritual attack related to his vocal involvement in the Justice for Morbad campaign, noting that she had received anonymous calls warning for him to stop his advocacy. She said that his death was a spiritual attack. Other people, however, believed that Joshua was taking hard drugs around the time of his death, and that he in fact overdosed on stream. But I can't find any proof or hard evidence suggesting this, other than speculation. Joshua was laid to rest at his home the same day that he passed away, with members of the Justice for Morbad community, including now just post videos of her dancing, receiving but a fraction of the viewers her husband once did. But what a shocking and nightmare-inducing stream that I'm sure will stay with me for a long, long time. How suddenly it can go from just a normal day to one that leaves a permanent, horrible mark is crazy, and it does make you value your life just that little bit more. Make the most of it, because this could easily be me or you. Driving distracted is deadly. Did you know that in 2023, 3,275 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers in just the United States alone? So you'd think at this point it would be common knowledge to pay attention to the road ahead, to actually look where you're going. Sadly, however, it seems in this live stream that the host failed to care, and it led to fatal consequences. This horrifying stream began on the 3rd of November 2025 in Illinois. Again, this time in Chicago. That day, a 43-year-old woman by the name of Tynesha McCarty Roten went live on TikTok. Now, Tynesha, who went by the name of Tea Time, was a full-time content creator / music producer / author. In November of 2025, she'd recently released her album that I don't recommend you go listening to, but she had gained viral attention and grew her platform from side chick winning content on TikTok, which aligned with her book series about relationships and controversial dating topics.
I've been a wife, I've been a girlfriend, and I've been a side chick. Out of all those roles, the most peaceful role I've ever had in my life was the side chick.
Like many content creators who turned social media into their livelihood, Tynesha regularly went live on TikTok to connect with her viewers. These streams consisted of her rocking out to her own music, relaxing and having fun, but what she was best known for was her box hosting sessions. Box hosting sessions is basically where the host will go up and they'll have 8 empty slots and anyone can come up to discuss a topic or argue with her. It creates drama which viewers love to watch. These box hosting sessions always attracted more viewers. People just loved being part and parcel of that night's drama and entertainment, and according to many loyal viewers, she acted like she had her own reality show happening 24/7, like she was the main character. However, the stream that day started as they usually did, with Tynesha sitting in front of her phone in her house, again blasting out to what seems to be her own music.
When I open my eyes, I choose up every new day. I'll be alright.
Regular viewers soon began appearing in chat, and then the box hosting session began. Now, as I said, Tynesha had recently released some music, so mostly throughout the stream, she's talking about it and plugging it every chance that she got. Viewers come in and out for over an hour without any issues. It was only until 1 hour and 15 minutes into the stream where this all sadly changed. Tanisha looked at the time and noticed that it was time to pick up her child.
Here I come, Mir. I'm finna leave out right now. Give me. I'm finna leave out right now. Come on, let me go get him. If y'all could kick it with me for a minute. I need y'all help. I gotta go get the baby. I'm trying to get these dogs back in the house. Come on, Onyx. Onyx, that's why your ass be getting out the gate. Come on. I gotta go get Mir. Come on, Onyx. Y'all stay with me for a minute. Hey, McDog. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Instead of stopping the stream, at around 5 p.m, driving her Ford Edge, Tanisha left her house with her 8-year-old grandchild sitting in the back.
If it was me, okay, he might get a little bit more motion. He might get a little bit more satisfaction because a lot of people don't fuck with me. A lot of people have been waiting to see some exposure. That shit might pop, right?
Soon, she was driving through the dimly lit streets of Chicago. It was rush hour, and she was still hosting the box stream and interacting with the viewers.
After you show all this, you still lost her. She's still gone. You still calling her pretty today, so clearly you can't handle no pretty bitch. You need to start with the pussies. I'm sorry.
This behaviour, streaming while driving, was something that Tanisha had done on a regular basis. Rather than stopping the stream, she would just hop in her car and continue. Now, TikTok's community guidelines explicitly prohibit content that depicts or promotes activities that risk serious injury or death. This includes distracted driving. Streaming while operating a vehicle would definitely violate these policies, and Tanisha knew this. Many viewers said that Tanisha had put up a green screen behind her purely to avoid an automatic ban from the platform. This was something that she admitted to multiple times prior. As she drove around, she was actually interacting with 2 phones at the same time while driving. One was her live streaming phone, and the other she was using to message her friends and family. Over the course of just 20 minutes, it's clear Tanisha's main focus was the stream. She was barely looking forward, constantly looking down to read messages and reply. Over the space of just 20 minutes, I counted over 100 times that she looked down while driving. Despite having her 8-year-old grandchild in the back, she just didn't seem to care. She wasn't even wearing a seatbelt, and neither was her grandchild.
Yes, I'll tell you later.
This, of course, was a deadly recipe for disaster, and when you play with fire, it's no surprise when you get burnt. At approximately 5:45 p.m, while looking down at her phone, Tanisha ploughed into a pedestrian that was crossing the street at an intersection at Zion 3, located around 45 miles north of Chicago.
Fine Wine was talking about Ghost, right? Because Tansy was defending Ghost. And Fine Wine was like, what woman would defend a man threatening women? Like, well, what type of woman or what type of person would defend this? So he go with Fine Wine like, that's how y'all need to be, he say something like, that's how y'all need to be with y'all friend. Y'all ain't friends. Something he tried to say, like, I don't know, it was weird, like, so, fuck!
The pedestrian was identified as 59-year-old Darren Lucas. Darren was on his way back from home, and he never saw the car coming. As she impacted him, the car came to a sudden halt, with her grandchild in the back asking what had happened. Tanisha replied, I just hit somebody.
I don't know, it was weird, like, so, fuck!
What was
Let me
that?
call you
You
right
okay?
now. Oh, fuck.
What was that?
Fuck. I'm gonna take somebody.
You okay?
She gets out of her car, and the stream continues in silence for a few more minutes before ending. Police attended the scene after Tanisha called them, but Darren was in a bad state. They rushed him to Vista Medical Center, but unfortunately, he passed away from blunt force injuries soon after. Police, of course, questioned Tanisha at the scene, and she told them that the light was green when she passed through and that she hadn't seen Darren until it was too late. She accused him of jaywalking. At the time, she declined to let investigators search her phone, so she was not charged and let go without any offences following a clean alcohol and drug test. Obviously, she didn't tell the police that she was live streaming whatsoever. Soon after this, she quickly privated her TikTok and changed her handle. When she unprivated it, she'd removed all the streams of her driving, as well as tried to cleanse the internet of any reference of her live streaming in her car at all. Just as an example, when I was researching this, I found a Reddit comment from what looked to be a loyal viewer who seemed to have commented about the fact she was streaming while driving all the way back in 2023. It's only when I went back to this comment that I saw it was amended days after the incident, removing the reference of her driving while streaming. Shockingly, just 3 days after the accident, Tanisha again went live on her TikTok, and this time she asked followers to help her while she was on a mental leave. She said that her mind wasn't at full capacity and that viewers could help by donating to her Cash App. Absolutely horrible stuff.
Hey, y'all. Y'all already know me, right? So y'all know if my mind isn't in full capacity, it's hard for me to host lives. I won't really be here long. I won't be on live until my mind is on full capacity. So it's allowed me because I want y'all to have want y'all to be able to have the part of me, you know what I'm saying, where, I'm not distracted or anything like that. Y'all, my Cash App up there if y'all want to support while I'm on mental leave. I don't like asking y'all for shit. But if y'all find it in y'all heart, and y'all want to support, my Cash App is right there.
By now, the live stream showing her hitting Darren went completely viral and was sent to local law enforcement many, many times. Investigators quickly confirmed the authenticity of the clip and pulled surveillance footage from a nearby business that showed the traffic light was in fact red at the time of the collision. The footage of the live stream was also recovered after she was forced to surrender her phone, confirming that the video was recorded at the date and time of the crash. She'd literally filmed herself committing the crime. To try and get away with it is ridiculous. For a month and a half, it almost looked like she did get away with it. Until on December the 23rd, police teams arrived at her house and Tanisha was arrested for reckless homicide, as well as aggravated use of a phone device causing death. Apparently, police found her in her home preparing to leave the country with several packed bags. Currently, at the time of saying this case only occurred like 2 months ago, so legal proceedings are still ongoing, but she's currently being held without bond and is scheduled to appear in court for a preliminary hearing on January the 27th.
There it is. We made it to the end. For those who made it all the way through, thank you. I appreciate it. And for those who didn't and who couldn't, scary ass.